Well, if the stereotype in sport is a game of two halves, what was that? A game of 3 quarters and then 1 quarter? Another ridiculous game in the Rugby Championship. Welcome back to the channel. The Wallabies and the Pumas, the match has just finished, so click off the video if you're looking to avoid the result. But what another unbelievable game. Incredible match. Give me your views down below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. But Australia, almost with another incredible comeback. In the end, Argentina were able to hold on and see it out. Australia 26, Argentina 28. This competition that keeps going back and forth, twists and turns every single week. It's happened once again. And a strange game in a lot of ways. I will do my best in the video to try and sum it all up. We'll get on to the final quarter and that incredible comeback. But weird game when you look at that. And I don't know if I've ever seen a match before where a team has been outscored 4 tries to 1, but you still feel like they probably ended up being the deserving winners, which is what it felt like to me, because I think that game will most likely be summed up by poor Aussie discipline and poor Aussie accuracy, coupled with the fact that Argentina were very, very good. Very accurate, a lot of their detail. They controlled the game so well, I thought, Argentina. But you look at it from an Australian point of view, they conceded the try to Montoya, which was a charge down. And then I'm writing down in my notes I'm going here, 3 minutes Carreras penalty, 14 minutes, 25 minutes, 38 minutes, Carreras penalty, Carreras penalty, Carreras penalty. And it continued like that in the second half. The Aussie discipline was just all over the place, and it allowed Argentina into the game. They controlled the territory, they kicked for points, they just put them under all sorts of pressure. And yes, last week we saw Australia with an unbelievable comeback in the second half, but you can't keep putting yourself in that sort of hole. Unbelievable game. That crowd in Sydney got their money's worth. Great crowd. You can really feel kind of the enthusiasm and excitement around the Wallabies at the moment, but you can't keep putting yourself in that sort of position. And then it wasn't really until that final quarter that we saw the Aussie attack actually kind of spark into life. Before that, they were inaccurate, dropping balls, forcing it. Yes, it was a really nice try for Sualii in the first half, but after that, there was just not too much for them to grasp hold of. And I suppose ultimately, despite the 2-point scoreline, it felt to me that Argentina were the better team in pretty much every area of that game. Overall, I thought the aerial game they got the better of. The kicking game, for a lot of it, they were better. In possession, they were able to go through the phases more. They could put the Wallabies under pressure. I thought it was a pretty commanding, for the most part, accurate, disciplined Argentinian performance. It almost fell apart in the last quarter, which in itself, doesn't that sum up Argentina at this moment in time? You can control a game and be totally dominant for 60 minutes and then almost completely capitulate and fall apart in the final quarter of it. But they did just hold on. A couple of players I want to mention from an Argentinian point of view. Both Carreras, Matteo and Santiago. Santiago Carreras, I was saying earlier in this competition that when Argentina don't have Thomas Albornoz at 10, I don't think they've looked as strong. I thought Santiago Carreras was excellent today, not just kicking the penalties, but just in the way he guided them around the park. I thought he was very good. Matteo Carreras is just ridiculous, isn't he? So hard to bring down, such a good winger. And then Julian Montoya, who, alongside Pablo Matera, I would say is kind of the heartbeat emotionally of this Argentinian team. I thought he was very, very good. But there were performances across the board, really, from Argentina. They massively needed that performance off the back of last week. They got it, and they just about held on. But as I've said already, that final quarter does sum them up in some ways for me at the moment. I have no idea how they ended up only being winners by 2 points, but that's Argentina at the moment. It's all a little bit mental. From an Australian point of view, I've dealt with some of the bad already, discipline and accuracy. Felt to me as well for a lot of that game, a good 60 minutes of that game, that Harry Wilson was letting his frustrations with the officiating get the better of him. He was clearly annoying the referee, which I think is always a problem for a captain and something maybe just to keep an eye on. It was a tough afternoon though for 60 minutes. The Sualii try in the first half was excellent, but outside of that, they really struggled to kind of put any pressure on Argentina, get all that much possession in the Argentinian half. And Tane Edmed had a tough outing. I wonder whether, in hindsight, James O'Connor needed to be brought on earlier. It was funny with the Montoya charge down try. Brilliant from Montoya, by the way. I wondered whether Tane Edmed forgot it was a free kick and not a penalty, because he was slow, he got charged down. Montoya got there in bags of time to charge it down, to the point where he was so far past him, able to pick up the ball and score the try after charging it down. We had the moment between Edmed and Nick White where they just didn't have that bit of communication in the backfield and kind of bumped into each other to knock the ball on. He did have a brilliant 50-22 in the first half, and then Australia lost the line out. But it was a tough game, I thought, for Tane Edmed. What about Joseph Sualii? I think it's undoubtable that we are continuing to see him build into international rugby and probably build into rugby union more generally, having come across from rugby league. The way he took that first try was exceptional. You're starting to see him have those moments, I think, more regularly. Some quick hands for the Kellaway try to put Kellaway through. Started influencing the game a lot more as it went on, kind of into 60 minutes plus. So I think it's exciting. I think it's just looking consistency, isn't it, from a Sualii point of view. But yeah, mad game, mad old game from the Wallabies. You've got to be frustrated, haven't you, with... I suppose it was a real opportunity here to put yourself into a great position heading into the final couple of rounds. And they might still end up being in that position because the All Blacks against the Springboks, the second test between those two teams is going to kick off very, very shortly. And who knows, if the Springboks win, then all of a sudden it's a pretty similar position with all the teams having won and lost the same amount of games. But I suppose there'll be an element of frustration for Australia, particularly when you outscore a team 4-1 and you end up losing it. It says a huge amount about this game, really. When you give that statistic, Aussie 4 tries, Argentina 1, Argentinas were the victors because the Aussie discipline was just not good enough. And Carreras kicked the points. You build a score at this level and it can go a long way. We often don't see teams do it enough, I think. I will leave it there. Give me your views down below. Like the video as well. Subscribe to the channel. All Black Springboks up next. Video coming your way after that game.